Okay guys, so when you're gonna make your hat and you want to make the band of your hats and you want it to lay down, you have to cut the fabric on the true bias. You can't just get the fabric. So I'm going to show you this that I already been cutting off. You can't just get the bandana and just cut this way and then expect to put this around your head and lay down. The fabric is not going to lay. So you have your straight grain right here going down, your crosswise grain, and then going like this is a true bias. Okay, so you see when you do it like this, you do it like this, it's not pulling right. Now watch when I do it the cross grain. See that? So that's how you want to cut your fabric. So when you get ready to cut fabric for your bandana, you want to cut it like this. See that? This is going to be my cross grain. So when I'm cutting fabric for the bandana, I want to cut it like this, because that's what's going to make this fabric curve. Okay, when I want it to curve, this is where and how it needs to cut to be able to curve. I'm cutting it on the true bias, going cross grain. Okay, and I'm just going to grab a head and kind of show you guys. So when you want to cut your bandana, you need to cut it on the true bias. Okay, that's how you're going to get these fabrics to lay. Okay, you can't cut them any other way. You cut them any other way, your hat is going to be corky. It ain't going to lay down. I'm going to try to get ahead and demonstrate it to you. All the hats seem to have some on it. This one don't. We're going to take this. So when you go to cut the bandana, cut them on the cross grain. So we're just going to take this hat, for example, okay? This hat ain't fixed. So I'm going to show you. This is cut on the true grain. So you see how I could take that and that go right on the hat and it can be flushed against the hat. You see that? So now I'm going to take a piece and we're just going to cut this, not on the true grain, even though it's not long enough. We're just going to cut it this way. And I'm going to show you what you're going to wind up getting. The fabric will buckle because it's not cut on the true bias. So if you take fabric like this and try to cut it, it's a thin piece, but the fabric itself will kind of buckle. It won't be able to lay the way that it needs to lay. So when you're going to cut your fabric, always cut it on. See this? See this? When we cut it, see this? How that's the true bias. So anytime I cut fabric for my hats, to make them lay down, I find the true bias. See this? And this is not stretch fabric. See this? This is a stiff fabric. But when you find the true bias in the fabric, like that, you see it scratches. So when I get ready to cut this, so I can make bandanas, of course I press it out first, but I'm going to cut it on the true bias so that I can get this fabric to lay down. Uh-oh, I done cut it crooked. I done cut it off even, meaning the scissors. But is my scissors skipping? But anytime you're going to cut anything to go on your hat to make it lay down, and you can iron it with a curve in it, but you want it to be able to do that. So when you're doing your stuff for your hat, it'll lay flush. Okay, this might be cute. Some denim and some pink. But yeah, that's, and see, that's the true bias, and it has the ability to scratch. And then when you do this like this, look, no scratch. But when you do it like this, that's the bias. So when I cut my pieces, I said I was going to show y'all how to cut your pieces for your hat. Cut it on a true bias. And then it will lay flush without have to, you know what I mean? So when I cut my stuff, even when I do the leather bands for the inside, everything needs to be cut on the true bias, meaning you're taking fabric that does not stretch, and we want it to be able to lay down on a curved surface. I think this pink and this denim go hard. I might have to do this. But yeah, cut it at a curve. Cut it on the bias. So that's what I be doing. I take my pieces and I recycle and I cut this stuff on the bias, even if I'm going to sew it around the ending of the hat. But that's what you do. That's how you find the true bias in a fabric. It's always the straight grain, the cross grain, true bias. And you cut it. True bias. And you'll get the right piece. So, okay. That's how you cut your fabric to go around your hats. Cut it on a true bias, okay? All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Toodles. I'm going to show you guys how I will make a simple bow if I'm making a hat and I want to make a very simple bow to go on the side of the hat. So I take this leftover fabric right here and we're going to cut this out into a square. The bigger the bow you want, make the square kind of bigger. The smaller you want the bow, make the square or rectangle looking. It's kind of look like it's longer than a square. So you cut your piece. Okay. So I cut a piece like that. And normally I'll cut it where I want the ends to be, if I had a bigger piece, I'll cut it bigger. And then, oh man, again. So y'all, what's happening is that my hot glue gun is, when it's, like if you let these things turn sideways, it will clog the gun up. And it keep doing that. Oh. And this happens to a lot. I don't want my scissors get no glue in them. It's too expensive. Those are my shears. So I take it and I'm folding the end so I don't have the raw edges on the bow. And the bigger you want the bow, the bigger you'll do it. So I glue down the two back sides. And then we're just going to bring this together like this. And then we're going to take another piece. I don't want to use my shears. Messing with no glue. Then I take another piece of the fabric. So this is how I be making a simple bows that goes on to my hats. I make a simple bow. The bigger the bow, you know, the bigger you make this. So I just keep wrapping it around till I get to the end that I want. Put the little piece size there. Fold this over. Lock it in on the back. And then you make your simple bows to go on to your hats. Why do my glue guns always do that? I hate that. So something real simple. And if you want your bow to be more thicker, then double the fabric. So see, that'd be a simple bow. So when I'm done doing the bandana going around, I could add the bow onto the hat. So however you want to do it. And then the same thing with the denim. I take it, pretty much the same technique. Cut it into a square. Get me something to wrap around. So it's simple. The bigger you want the bow, the bigger to cut the square. So you don't want your bow to be looking all flimsy, then cut it bigger. I don't have a lot of fabric right here, so I'm just going to use what I got to get what I want. And you just, the more bigger you want your bow, or more definition you want your bow, then thicken the fabric up. Thicken the fabric up to how you want it. But yeah, I just make some simple bows. The bigger you want the bow, the bigger you cut it. The more sturdy you want the bow, you double the fabric. And then any of the fraying edges. Oh man, I hate when you do this. I'm talking about my glue gun. So just real simple bows. You want to make bows for your fabric. Just make your bows. See? However you want to make them. The more sturdy you want them, the more, you know, the more fabric. You just make them. So yeah, I just make my little bows. And say for instance, if I was doing this one like this, I'm gonna unplug the hot glue gun now. I just want to show y'all quickly. But say for instance, if I was doing, we're just gonna pretend like we're doing this. Okay, so I'll just pretty much put this on there. However I would secure down. Okay. So we'll say, but it won't be up that high. But and then you take the bow, and then you'll take it to how you want it, and you pretty much put it on your hat to how you want it to be. Okay, I don't have no pins right there. But anyway, however you will want your bow to be on your hat, that's how you'll do it. You don't want it that big, you want it smaller, then make your bow smaller. You know what I'm saying? Make it how you will be comfortable with your bow onto your hat, okay? Smaller, or some people like the bow on to the back. Or you might don't want a bow at all. But that's a simple way of quickly making bows. And then for the raw edges, you just burn it, because you know the fabric will fray a little bit. Just burn the raw edges so you won't have to worry about that. But yeah, you can make really simple bows for your hats. And that's kind of what I do. And know what you're burning too, because this is still on fire. Yeah, that burnt for a minute. So know what you're burning. Don't burn nothing that shouldn't be burned, because that stayed on fire a little longer than it should have. But before you set stuff on fire, know if the fabric can be burned. Don't burn a fabric that's real flammable. But that's how I be making the little bows that go on my hat. Just real simple. Just cut a square, scrunch it down, take something, wrap it around. You don't want the ends to be raw. Fold the edges in. When you fold these bows too big, remember, make them smaller. So if you don't like a big bow, we'll make it, this is a really big piece. Let's see. I'm trying to, I really don't want to cut this piece because I might use it later. But if you want the bow to be smaller, then I'm not going to cut this piece because I might use this piece for some. It's a nice edge. But just make it smaller, okay? Don't want it to be the size of them ones that I got. You see? You make a smaller bow. You don't have to make them as big as I'm doing this. Just make it smaller, okay? They don't have to be, okay, it's time to drink water. See, my watch tell me it's time to drink water. But, yeah, it don't have to be this big. You can make your bows smaller. You can make them bigger. But that's the real simple way how I make bows with the hot glue gun to go into my hats. So you don't got to make them this big. You can make them smaller. Real simple. See that? You wouldn't use this big of a piece, but you'll take this piece, fold it in, and say, for instance, that piece, fold it in. And then you take going around, boom, see? And you have a smaller bow. So I hope that helps you. So if you want to decorate your hats, make your hats, you want to make the bows, you want to learn how to, because sometimes you just cut it right across. It's not going to lay down on your hat. Learn how to cut the bias pieces. So I recycle fabric and I just get my pieces and I cut it. So when I'm making a hat, I really, right away, sometimes I don't know really how the hat's going to be, but I cut my pieces and have my stuff kind of ready. So when I get ready for it, it'd be ready to go. And that's kind of what I'll do. I'll create the bows and the pieces, and then I use the paint and then the brushes and then the spray paint and then just a mixture of everything. So if you want to start redecorating your hats and stuff like that and you want to know how to do, yeah, that's how you make the bows. And that's how you would take your fabric and cut it on the bias where to lay down on the hat. Because if you don't get the piece cut on the bias, the fabric is going to be weird laying on there. You could glue it down, but it ain't going to lay flush, okay? So, anyway, I hope that helps. So, I'm going to load these videos for y'all, and y'all have a great Saturday. Thanks for watching. Toodles.